The noisy class reunion was in full swing, but Emily's husband, John, was conspicuously absent.
Emily, is your husband still not here? If he doesn't come soon, we're going to leave.
Emily glanced at her silent phone and gave an awkward smile to her best friend, Jessica.
Sorry, my husband has something to take care of. You guys go ahead, I need to get back to take care of the kids.
The lively atmosphere suddenly fell into an awkward silence for a moment.
All right, you should head back then.
What's up with your family? Can't anyone else come?
John is something else. Is he embarrassed to hang out with us, or what? We only meet once a year, and he always has something going on.
Emily knew their frustration was directed at John, but she was the one bearing the brunt of the awkwardness. Thankfully, Jessica spoke up for her, and under her cover, Emily slipped away. Finally, her phone buzzed.
Sorry, I didn't see your messages. Today is Sophia's graduation.
He sent her a photo of Sophia in her graduation gown, standing next to him in front of a board covered in signatures. They were standing very close, both smiling brightly.
We're planning to go out for dinner later. Do you want to join us?
Emily opened and closed the photo repeatedly, counting how many messages she had sent him. She thought to herself, another class reunion.
This wasn't the first time I got upset over a class reunion.
She remembered when they had just started dating, and her friends teased John, asking what kind of girl he liked.
What kind of girl do you like, John?
Everyone knew it was just a game of face-saving. Since they were already together, he was expected to praise her.
I like girls who are younger, have a good temper, are gentle and obedient, and preferably like sweets as much as I do.
At that moment, Emily was stuffing spicy bullfrog into her mouth, with a bit of red oil smeared on her face. His preferences were completely opposite to hers.
That's why I pursued him. I like a challenge.
Everyone laughed and continued chatting.
This is like a domineering CEO falling for you.
That night, Emily threw a huge tantrum when they got home. She knew John didn't like her that much, and she didn't have that heart-fluttering feeling for him either. They met through family introductions and got together because they were well-matched. But even so, they've been together for 7 years. It's impossible not to have any feelings after 7 years of getting along. When Emily opened the restaurant door, John was sitting next to Sophia, putting Cantonese dim sum into her bowl. Sophia saw her first and greeted her cheerfully.
Emily, come sit with us.
The restaurant was already full, and the only seat left for Emily was at the edge, with Sophia sitting between John and her. She didn't enjoy the meal because John had been drinking, and she ended up taking Sophia home. Sophia skipped happily to her room, while John, despite his drunken state, watched her enter her building with a serious look. When they got home, Emily threw her bag down. Lily hadn't eaten yet, and the table was still cluttered with John's breakfast dishes. She didn't bother to pick up his discarded clothes.
Can you remember anything I tell you?
It's Sophia's graduation. She really wanted me to be there. I couldn't say no to her.
He knew why she was upset, but he always chose to side with Sophia. Seeing her displeasure, he started cleaning up the table, stubbornly saying,
Besides, didn't I invite you to join us for dinner later?
Emily knew he liked sweets, especially dairy products. She also knew he was aware of Sophia's favorite desserts and would always bring her some when a new brand launched. He even bought her cartons of milk because she was bullied for being short. But he didn't know that ever since she had Lily, she became lactose intolerant. He didn't know she hated sweets and that eating too much made her nauseous. Because she wanted to be the obedient and sensible girl he liked, she never told him, and he never asked. As a result, he still knew nothing about her, and she increasingly lost touch with what.
Sophia was a child my husband, John, met while doing charity work. She had an older sister and 2 younger brothers. Her mother didn't allow her to go to school and wanted to marry her off to a much older man in the village just to get the dowry money.
I ran away and used the money John transferred through the charity organization to continue my education. I insisted on repaying the money, so John exchanged contact information with me. He supported me for 5 years.
I, Emily, also enjoy charity work. When John first discussed Sophia with me, I agreed without hesitation. But gradually, I realized Sophia had feelings for John, and his attitude towards her was quite ambiguous.
I couldn't say anything. John always said he just wanted to help Sophia escape her difficult past.
It was like a thorn in my hand, causing sharp pain whenever touched. One sleepless night, I quietly got up to get a drink of water and found John smoking alone on the balcony.
Why are you up?
Couldn't sleep. Why are you smoking in the middle of the night?
I disliked the smell of smoke, especially after having a child.
It won't happen again. Emily, Lily is about to start elementary school, right?
Yes, why?
I was thinking about having Sophia come over to tutor Lily. Her English is quite good, and Lily could use some early education.
Even if I don't agree, you'll still bring her here, won't you?
John didn't say anything. I didn't pursue it further.
I'm tired. I have things to do tomorrow. You take care of Lily. Good night.
The next day, to avoid running into Sophia, I went to the cemetery alone. Today was my mother's death anniversary. She had poor health and helped me raise Lily until she passed away last year. Holding flowers, I stood in front of her grave, thinking about how she took care of me. Tears streamed down my face.
I wasn't a filial daughter. I never let my mother enjoy a good life, and even when she passed away, she was still worried about me.
After placing the flowers, I took a cab home. As soon as I entered, I heard Lily crying. She clung to my waist.
What happened? Why is she crying like this?
I saw John patting Sophia's shoulder. Sophia was rubbing her eyes.
Emily, Lily is so disobedient. She won't listen to anything I say.
Kids are always a bit naughty. Can't you be more patient?
John stepped between us, protective of Sophia.
Enough! Emily, Lily is spoiled. I told you before, don't let your mother raise her. Kids raised by elderly people are the most unruly.
I hated it when people insulted my mother, especially after she passed away. John's figure blurred through my tears.
I've made up my mind, John. I don't want to continue like this. I want a divorce.
Since you don't love me, why should I continue this sham of a relationship? John's usually calm face finally showed some change. He widened his eyes.
Emily, what did you just say?
If you don't agree, see you in court.
I held Lily in one arm and closed the door with the other. Over the years, I've been balancing work and family, so doing things with one hand while holding a child is second nature to me. John immediately chased after me. I saw Sophia trying to hold his hand, but he shook her off. This time, he didn't side with Sophia, but I no longer cared about his choice.
Emily, why?
He couldn't catch the elevator in time and could only watch as I went downstairs. When I hailed a cab, he rushed out of the building, not even bothering to change out of his slippers.
Why?
When he asked, even I paused for a moment.
Because I come home every day to take care of an overgrown child, because you forget my birthday every year, because you always find excuses to flirt with others. Or maybe because, all these years, I never felt your love.
Is it because of Sophia?
I could hear the frustration and irrationality in his voice.
Sophia is only 21. I'm a decade older than her. No matter what, I couldn't possibly be involved with her, let alone marry her. Why can't you let this go?
John, do you really think I can't see through it? You took Sophia in under the guise of charity. She's insecure, obedient, easy to control, and has a cute baby face. Sure, you might not be involved with her, but ask yourself honestly, do you really see her as just a sister? Using our hard-earned money to support another woman openly, where in the world does that happen?
Just then, the cab I called arrived. I put Lily in the car.
Stop pretending. We both know that our so-called love was just a game. I've had enough. I need someone who loves me, not a deceitful partner.
With that, I closed the car door and told the driver to take us home. I thought about many things on the way. In the end, I bought a bag of hot pot ingredients and a bottle of beer downstairs, then went home to make a spicy hot pot for Lily.
To my surprise, Lily enjoyed it immensely. She could handle spicy food even better than I could and loved anything exciting. Leaving John, I suddenly realized how much my daughter was like me.
I poured her some cola and opened a beer for myself. Lily, if Daddy and Mommy get separated, who would you want to stay with?
I knew it was cruel to ask a child this, but the day would come eventually, and I wanted Lily to be prepared.
I want to stay with Mommy.
Of course, ever since we found out Lily was a girl, John had never treated her well. His mother always hinted that it would have been better if Lily were a boy. But I always loved Lily, so John's idea of having a second child was shelved. Moreover, we had clear agreements on our assets, so there wouldn't be any messy disputes. These small habits in daily life turned out to be very helpful when it came to severing ties completely. When I told my father about my decision to divorce John, he initially disagreed. After all, I was already 29, and with a 5-year-old child, it would be hard to find another man willing to take us in. But I was resolute. My father never made decisions for my life, and this time was no different.
Think it through.
I messaged John, telling him I had set the date and hoped he would find a good lawyer. We'd see each other in court. He bombarded me with messages, and my social media platforms all showed 99+ notifications. But I didn't reply, just like he used to ignore my messages. I had moved on from this relationship. Whether he had or not was no longer my concern. After all, the decision to separate wasn't his to make. Finally, on the day of the hearing, he stood on the opposite side with his lawyer. The judge saw that everyone was present and began the pretrial mediation.
Let's begin. Emily, you've requested a divorce. Can you explain why?
Our marital relationship has irreparably broken down, and there's no possibility of continuing.
John was unwilling.
Your Honor, I believe our relationship is still intact. There's no such estrangement as Emily claims.
The judge's expression showed his confusion. There were no property disputes, and John didn't want to fight for child custody either.
John, is there something Emily owes you that requires compensation for you to agree to the divorce?
It's not about property. I believe we still have an emotional foundation.
The judge turned to Emily.
Emily, after 7 years, you've probably worked out most of your differences. Perhaps you should give your husband another chance.
I won't withdraw the lawsuit. I can no longer endure this marriage. I demand a divorce.
Emily, what are you so angry about? I've already apologized. Can't you stop this? What will our relatives and friends say?
His so-called love for me was just about saving face. Even now, he didn't think he had done anything wrong.
Why, think about it yourself. How many times has she been to the hospital lately? How much have you cared for your daughter? And you've been emotionally involved with another woman. Do you really have the nerve to say you love her?
Yes, John. If you don't love her, just let each other go. You have a stable job, and you don't have to take care of the child. Starting anew shouldn't be that difficult.
John didn't respond. His eyes were evasive, lost in thought. Hopefully, the judge's words would sway him. At that moment, John received a phone call. Whatever he heard made him suddenly look panicked.
I have something urgent and need to leave.
The trial hasn't even started yet. You can't leave in the middle of mediation.
Seeing the expressions of the lawyers and the judge turning sour, John gritted his teeth.
Fine, I agree to the divorce. Let's not go to trial. I'll sign.
With his agreement to mediation, everything became easier. The judge quickly guided us in drafting the mediation agreement.
Remember, this will legally end your relationship. Consider carefully before signing.
John, looking anxious, signed the document and left hurriedly.
I also signed and pressed my fingerprint next to my name. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, yet there was an inexplicable sadness.
Since you've come this far, don't regret it.
Despite this trial, I had harbored a glimmer of hope that John would listen to my feelings. But ultimately, he didn't give me the answer I wanted. I called Jessica and asked her to join me for some relaxation. She readily agreed.
When I arrived at the hospital entrance, I didn't see Jessica but instead saw John.
How could you deceive me? I didn't even go to trial because I thought something had happened to you. Now the mediation agreement is signed, and you tell me you're fine?
So what if it's signed? John, I love you. I want to be with you. What's so good about Emily? You should divorce her.
Sophia, stop dreaming. It's impossible between us. I need to go to the civil affairs office to cancel the divorce agreement.
Sophia was unhappy and clung to John's waist, unwilling to let him go. Just then, Jessica came out of the hospital. I rolled down the car window and honked the horn.
Emily!
John saw me too and walked quickly towards my car, grabbing the window.
Emily, Sophia said she had a car accident. I couldn't ignore her. I only signed because I thought we had a cooling-off period for the divorce. Give me some time. I'll change. Lily is still so young.
It was too late. Any chance of forgiveness vanished when he signed the divorce mediation papers.
It seems you weren't prepared for the hearing.
Didn't your lawyer tell you that court-mediated divorces don't have a cooling-off period? Only mutual agreement divorces do.
So, goodbye, my ex-husband.
Emily opened the door and let Jessica into the car, then pried John's fingers off the window one by one. She started the engine, leaving John far behind. In the rearview mirror, she saw him run a few steps after the car, then slow down and finally stop.
Let's go have a drink.
Since divorcing John, Emily had spent more time on herself and her family. She taught Lily to help with small chores around the house, unlike at her in-laws where she had to do everything herself. Lily was born at the end of the year, so Emily pulled some strings to get her into elementary school early, to avoid delaying her education. Somehow, John found out about this. One day after school, Emily saw him standing at the gate, seemingly wanting to pick up Lily. But Lily wasn't too keen on it. When John tried to hug her, she kept dodging.
I'm the child's father.
If you're the father, why does the child act like she doesn't know you?
Lily, come to mommy.
Seeing Emily, Lily's previously timid face lit up with a smile, and she ran over joyfully.
Mommy!
Emily picked her up and then looked at John.
I thought you had forgotten that Lily is your child.
I've been arguing with my mom about you. I'll transfer the money to you soon. Emily, please come back. I really can't live without you.
Emily noticed his fingers were yellowed. He must have been smoking a lot while she was away. Even from a distance, she could smell the smoke on him. His clothes were also noticeably worn, and he hadn't bought himself anything new.
I know you mind about Sophia. I've already talked it over with her, and we'll keep our distance from now on. I'll change whatever you want. Can we get back together?
No, I'm disgusted. Just thinking about you being with someone else while we were together makes me wish we had never married.
This was, after all, in front of the school, and Emily's voice wasn't low. Other parents started pointing and whispering.
Emily, how could you say that? You never used to talk like this.
I've wanted to say this for a long time. And let me tell you, John, always breaking promises, ignoring the in-law relationship, and only complaining about being tired from work, you were never good enough for me from the start.
Emily opened the car door and got in. Keeping family matters private had always been her way, but today, by airing their dirty laundry in front of so many people, she was telling him that they were beyond repair. The last thread connecting them was completely severed. Watching John, whom she had left behind, Emily felt a sense of satisfaction. He finally got a taste of the neglect and frustration he had made her endure. That day, John did transfer Lily's living expenses to Emily and sent her a voice message. She usually hated voice messages and didn't even bother to listen to it. She just ignored it. When he continued to bombard her with messages, she didn't hesitate to block him. 2 or 3 months later, Emily was cleaning the house when someone knocked on the door. Curious, as she wasn't expecting any returns, she looked through the peephole and saw Sophia. Sophia looked different, her body somewhat out of shape, dressed in bulky clothes.
What do you want?
Emily, sis.
Seeing her unsure and awkward demeanor, Emily rolled her eyes and grabbed the door handle to close it.
Emily, sis, don't close the door.
Afraid Emily might really shut her out, Sophia squeezed in during her moment of hesitation and stood by the shoe rack, looking like a frightened animal.
Why aren't you off playing with your dear John? What are you doing here?
Emily, sis, I'm pregnant.
She thought her pitiful appearance would move everyone, but I had seen her act too many times to be swayed. Instead, I felt even more irritated.
Congratulations, but I don't have any money to help you celebrate.
I said, trying to keep my distance as she sat down on the shoe bench, fearing she might cause trouble.
But Emily, John doesn't want me or the baby. He wants me to, not have it. What should I do?
Tears streamed down her face. She was barely in her 20s and had no idea how to handle such a situation.
What else can you do? You have no money, no job. Just go through with it. What, isn't it enough that I have to support you as the other woman? Now you want me to take care of the child too?
Sophia frowned. My words were harsh but true, and she couldn't argue against them. She clutched her stomach and glared at me.
What other woman? You and John are already divorced.
I didn't know where she got her confidence from, standing there in the hallway, flaunting herself.
Don't think I don't know. You must still be trying to seduce John. Otherwise, he wouldn't have abandoned me and the baby.
Her face was round, and when she furrowed her brows, she looked particularly mean.
Emily, you're not young anymore. Stop playing hard to get. John doesn't like you anymore.
I couldn't help but laugh. Seeing me laugh made her more angry, and she was about to curse, but I didn't give her the chance.
You're so naive. No wonder John likes you.
I took out my phone.
I've blocked him long ago. Sweetheart, John is too smart for you to outplay him.
Seeing her still confused, I sighed.
Think about it. You're only 21, and John is 31. No savings, no contribution to the house, no job, and now a child. This isn't marriage, it's pure support.
I leaned against the table, the light above making my eyes dizzy.
Just divorced, bringing a young one home immediately. Anyone can see it's an affair. His reputation would be ruined.
Sophia was stunned by my words, her tears stopping. She looked down at her stomach, her face pale.
Impossible. He loves me.
I stopped leaning on the table, held her shoulders, and pushed her out the door.
You're wrong. Why do you think he never had a relationship with you?
For a moment, we stood face to face, one inside the door, one outside. I recalled the first time I met him. My mom stood beside me as I hesitantly reached out to shake Michael's hand.
He wants someone who matches his status.
Then I closed the door. Outside, it was quiet for a long time before Sophia's sobbing turned into wailing. I picked up the mop and continued cleaning. Later, John came to see me. His chin was covered in stubble. Hearing I was moving, he offered to help.
Did Sophia come to see you?
Yes. The day you picked up Lily from school, you were with her. I advised her to handle the situation to avoid making things worse for both of you.
He looked surprised, probably wondering how I knew without hearing the voice message.
I didn't intend to. We were both drunk.
Alcohol causes trouble.
Then I took the box from his hand and put it in the car trunk.
But why tell me? Tell Sophia. The child isn't mine.
John watched as I closed the trunk and prepared to get Lily. He blocked my way.
Emily.
He seemed to want to help me with my sweaty hair, but I turned my head, brushing it back myself.
I have hands. People might think we're dating. It's awkward.
Lily ran over, and I picked her up. She saw me smiling and tilted her head.
Mom, you look so pretty when you smile.
Really? Then I'll smile more often.
My dad was already in the car. I handed Lily to him.
Goodbye, Mr. John. If you want to see Lily, call me. I'll prepare some snacks. You know.
I opened the door and got into the driver's seat.
I don't like sweets.
I closed the door, turned on the car stereo, and watched the trees pass by. It was my mom's favorite song. The scars might remain,